Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry that I will be sipping. As you heard me coughing, Berlin is a little bit cold for me. So I wanted to just cough before it's getting on, but here we are. So, as you can see, we're gonna talk about going out of the box as a developer today. And I wanted to first introduce myself. I'm Esra, working as a Flutter developer at Together. You probably already see me in the Flutteristas booth, in the contributions to the Women Tech Makers, and so on. And in today's agenda, we will talk about the psychology part of it, why user experience is important, what can I do as a developer, how will I do it, and how will I communicate what will happen, and resources to advance. And this is a 20-minute talk, so we gotta start ASAP. All started with this question for me, and since primary high school, I've been into psychology, that human behavior is mostly about whys, and I just noticed that I haven't talked about it at all. Like, a lot of us, we know each other for a long while, but it's something that I never mentioned before. And I believe I have a strong muscle in psychology, especially in behavioral psychology in the last 3 years that I'm working on. And I'm even going deeper in that area because I really want to understand how the organism called humans behaves and why. So if the product, technology, algorithm, tool, whatever you are working needs a human interaction, this talk is actually rooting for you because whatever we do, our job is related to brain, psychology, and we all know the other stuff that we have already. But I want to highlight emotional intelligence of human, and we need to understand this. I understand. And yes, saying I understand is easy, but how will I am going to understand that I understand? Exactly, because how will I know that it's true? How will I measure it? And not only because I'm working on it, I have tools for that. We will measure it because even though you have the best practices, it may not work for your tool. And you gotta see different behaviors, you gotta see the reasons, you gotta see how they are navigating in the app, get insights, rewarding behaviors, and drop-off points especially. And we can use heat maps. Of course, heat maps looks like, okay, where they spend the time the most, but based on context, they even mean something totally different. They can be good or bad. It can be a place that they are engaging the most, or it can be the place that you confuse them at the same time. Maybe your pricing might make them think twice. We can mention some tools. I just want to name some tools here because I don't want to have it like just a solve psychology related talk so that you can take away some tools if you don't know any, or you can give it a try, how to measure it, because you need to see what you're implementing in numbers. And these numbers will show us the expectation and the reaction of the user about what did you implement it and how they are reacting. And this is something, the most powerful information that you have over a human being in psychology. Like you can use it in a way that you want. Sounds dangerous too. So when you say expectations, we can see the high examples. The easiest example is the consumption of social media. And let's have a look at super popular behavior lately. I think since last year, maybe even more, maybe 1.5 years. How many of you see this content, this kind of content? There are 3 things at the same time. There's a video going. It's so crowded, totally irrelevant from each other. Let's watch it for a short while.
All I've done is try to be nice to you and you still don't like me. How can you not like me?
Okay, I'll tell you. You are the worst person I know. You constantly hit on your best friend's wife. The man pays for your food and rescued you from certain death, and this is how you repay him? And to add insult to injury, you defecate all over his yard. And you're such a sponge. You pay for nothing. You always say, ooh, I'll get you later, but later never comes. And what really bothers me is you pretend you're this deep guy who loves women for their souls when all you do is date. Yeah, I date women for their bodies, but at least I'm honest about it. I don't buy them a copy of Catcher in the Rye and then lecture them with some 7th grade interpretation of how Holden...
I'm going to make a good thing for you and stop this. because it's just an example of behaviors. What did you feel? You locked the voice, then you see the subway surfers, we played it all, then you see something like, okay, satisfaction, another video going on, then you just got back to the voice, there's a chaos going on, they are fighting, and your eyes just going through between content. It's tiring. You don't like cartoons, there's another video that you can consume. You don't like subway surfers, you have another thing to watch, there's a chaos going on. Or you're a child, okay, here's a game for you. So what they did is, while you're scrolling to the TikTok, they literally bombard you with the content in the same page. So it's really catch the user in one scroll. At most in second scroll, you have another options, at least 4, that you gotta keep the child, teen, person, whoever interested in what, you are basically bombarding content. And there's actually a definition for this kind of content. Anybody knows what it's called? It's called sludge content. So, and I don't know how many of you knows why, how many of you think like, what's wrong with this content? So this is just overstimulating you. We just said, because even though you have the best practices, it might not work for your users because they do have different behaviors in the app. So, of course, this is nothing close to the show, the best content. 3 things, all messed up, there's a voice over it. This is definitely most far thing to be a best content. But it works. Ultimately, it works and increases the numbers like crazy because you are giving a content. It's definitely not ethical, but it's work in the dimension of apps want the growth. Because it removes copyright issues, so people can even create very much more contents, even when you have a copyright issue. When you share it like that, no, it's out because it's a mess. And we can go through bullet points. So it creates a snowball effect of attention span across the platform because literally one of the videos got you while you're scrolling. It's producing, as we mentioned, stimulating content. And we all know about dopamine levels and the correlation between consuming these contents. We even know, like, okay, I'm gonna have a dopamine break. This week I'm not using social media, I'm not doing this because of these. And here comes even more horrible thing. People are just like, even while seeing it, they see that I will have a moment to clarify while I'm watching and be like, what I'm doing. Then I will just continue to watch. This is both horrible and amazing. Ethical reasons aside, what do? You kept the user in your feed forever. They are using your app as you want, and you just keep them as long as possible. These are addictive. So you can easily see these and manipulate, convince user to go in a way that you want it to go. Unfortunately, the video we saw is definitely super unhealthy. But as a fact, it's growing and even getting more because people are just kind of getting addicted to this behavior. Maybe you even started to see it in your Instagram feeds, maybe in Twitter feeds. For example, this was in Twitter. It started in TikTok. So now we saw extreme example of the people driving through something, dragging and keeping them forever. And we want to show the extreme. I want to show the extreme here because then we can just see how powerful it is. And of course, we will not make these people addicts. We are kind of good people. We don't want to do this. And we will keep coding as well. So in the developer point of view, and we have our tools a little bit different than this, and we're going to code, build, and the knowledge we have can be magical when you combine with these informations. So we are talking about this because in the jobs and teams I stand between design, product managers, and developers team. And thanks to the opportunities, I also had a chance to work with great companies and designers like designing Spotify and so on. So I had a lot of time to give feedbacks, even those products. And now we're going to have a little bit interactive session. You don't need to answer anything. I just want to ping you. And probably you already resonate with one of these questions. So let's see. And how many of you get in the tasks to implement the UI directly with all design specs and acceptance criteria. You can just raise a hand, like if you have the task, directly everything defined. Yes, one person. And how many of you given design experience feedback on the tasks that they are working for? Better. It mostly happens because maybe they are wrong, maybe they can be changed, maybe it's hard, sometimes nonsense, or not fitting the platform at all. Maybe the asset is missing, there are some stuff are not properly defined. And how many of you think like, nah, I will just do it as defined, like I'm done with it, like, because sometimes you can feel like this and it's okay. As I mentioned, there is no judgment here because it happens. Why? You have endless back and forth. Freelancing, you are doing freelancing, you have limited time, you are working on projects that you are not interested at all. Maybe you are just tired because of the communication, or it's just rushed to build. Then you just gotta have a release in 2 days that you cannot iterate on it anymore. Or it's just old bad work that you are working maybe 20 times already. So it's normal and these are happening. But you have the knowledge when you see the design coming, you can foresee the experience, and I highly recommend you to join those as much as possible. But how are we gonna join that? Because we cannot just go next to the designer and hands-on just get the work on it, and nobody wants to do it. And we have tools. Do you know what tools that we have? You will for sure heard about a lot of tools that you can collaborate. So we will have feedback loops, and we will use the design system for this. You can go through what's coming in the Figma file or whatever product that you are using and raise inconsistencies and platform experiences, approaches that you see it's not really fitting, and your knowledge really matters here because you can see how long it's going to take to implement. You will see that, okay, this is going to take like more than 1 week. It's going to take more than 2 weeks. And you can have an idea. Let's do this instead. When you understand the emotion and when you understand the goal of what's coming in the design, you can say, maybe let's try this as an MVP. And if users use it as we expected, then let's invest on it, have our own widget, put 2 weeks, 3 weeks on it, and let's make it better. And you know your speed and knowledge more than anyone. And we have an advantage here over the designers because we know what's technically possible and updating each other. So that puts collaboration to the heart of this topic. And whatever tool you use, you gotta collaborate. And you can scale through a lot of products. There are multiple things that you can do. So I'm trying to have this talk out of Flutter. Like, of course, we do have things in Flutter, but it's actually for everyone, like every developer. So you can use tools like Redpen, Mural, Zeppelin, Bitrex, or in Flutter, you already heard a lot of widget book talks, and you know how it works, how it's going. But what I recommend is really just use the one that works with your team and works for you well. Because I have been into the teams that use Figma only, or I gave a lot of feedbacks in Figma file. Sometimes I took screenshots, put it to the Notion, or some of them in the tickets directly. So it just depends on which project and what kind of team you are working on. But whatever works for you, please collaborate because we have one common goal. We all want users to use our product or get a subscription or benefit from our work, enjoy the thing I'm doing, or we are just doing things because see what I did? It is something interesting that we can do with this platform. So you may ask, Esra, okay, we got this, we got the psychology part, but what do you do with the things you mentioned so far in a team then? Okay, you are a developer, what do you do with all the information you mentioned? I judge. And I really enjoy it, and we can do the judgment with examples now. And here you can see Spotify, YouTube Music, and so on. It's a $1 million market. So the examples we will see will be like leading product that has millions of users. Let's go with the YouTube Music search experience. You can even see it now. In the judgment part. That's the general search approach that we see. Okay, cool. I'm gonna just get closer to be able to judge better. So we see a magnifier on the left side, and interesting, then in the right side we have a trailing arrow, okay? And I'm not sure which song it is. When you just write something even more general, it just shows lots of stuff. And this magnifier here, what does it does is actually just searching. But why do we need that? Because when I click on the song, it also does the search. So it's actually doubling the action. And I don't know how many of you use the magnifier button in the left side. Let's put a logo and see, like, I don't think that, no, it's not even accessible as the right-handed people. It's so far to use. And the arrow and the trailing, anybody has an idea about what it does? Kind of looks like share, but actually it's not. And probably you just think about what it can do. It's doing something. It's just like autocomplete. When you click there, it just adds the word there, and it's not even doing the search. It just autocompletes, and you can just keep going. It is definitely an unfamiliar experience. And it's happening in YouTube Music. And probably they had a different design before, then it just looked like share. Then just switch the arrow, because it just completes there. Not working again. And this is more than being a developer now, because now we went to the point that we are judging, because we just know that it's just an icon button. It's a simple icon that we just gotta put a function. It's fine, task is done. But the experience here is just going something beyond that. Let's compare it with the other market leads, Spotify. I see the songs can even filter more in the search screen. I know whether the trailing is opening the album or it has options. I can see album or song cover, more energetic, better dynamic looking. Let's judge Spotify. There is no click to dictate option like YouTube has. I'm just going back for you to see. We have a dictating option here. Now we lose it in Spotify. Yes, contrast is worse. And media loading is not always seamless, because now it's loading more content. And we just lost the accessibility, the extra touch. Now I cannot touch the search and just read or tell what I want to do. YouTube opens immediately, automatically focuses so that I can just talk. But Spotify doesn't do that. And of course, the media that we mentioned is super small, like nobody gonna care, but we are here to judge. So we gotta judge that because it's making it slower. So that's what I do. I stand between a development team, product, design, and then I just challenge them as much as possible in the times that I'm not coding. So there is another point that I wanted to show today, that you can stand as a developer as much as while you are building it, and it's gonna add extreme value to the product. You gotta help brainstorming, you gotta help iteration, and you gotta enjoy what you're building. Because as you can see, even the market leads, now you cannot change that. You cannot change how the YouTube Music working, because your app needs to do two simple things. I need to be able to watch the video that I'm looking for and be able to search the video that I'm looking for. And how will I just changing it without breaking it out, without making things worse? And it's not really judging them in a super weird way, because they have their own product reasons to do it. Why? But we are just seeing how these market leading products could be better. That's what they miss while building this. So this is one of the ways that you can go out of the box and still be a developer, but still bring more values in the product that you are building, and the team you can build more, bring more to the table. If you want to advance in that front, the first three is actually about behavior. First three is about user experience, and the last three is more about behavioral psychology. I can also share the screenshot in the Twitter about that you can give it a shot. And unfortunately, these are the books to read and check, because in the psychology part, you just gotta iterate and you just gotta resonate. It's not really happening easily. And my the end of the talk and my motto, let's say, is keep judging. Because as the early brainers, early adopters here, we are doing tons of new things. We are changing languages, we are changing frameworks, we're gonna try new texts. But whatever you're gonna do, your contact with the user will stay. So we gotta keep judging. And thank you for listening to me. It was a 20 minutes talk, so that's the end of it.